Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel where I share great ideas. After one of the last posts that I did with a bandsaw box where I split the piece of wood in two, making it very easy to cut out the drawers, I got to thinking because I had another piece of wood here and I thought, well, maybe I could make a leaf design with the same principle. So I've chosen a 4-leaf clover. It doesn't exactly fit the bill, but I'll be doing a few cool things trying to make this. Of course, first thing is to find a picture of what you want to do and then work on some sketches. I've made a number of sketches here and kind of decided on this one here. So the next thing I'm going to do is transfer this onto the wood and cut out the basic shape. So if I'm going to get this done, I better get busy, so we'll see you in a few minutes. I ended up just cutting it out, leaving it together, getting the basic shape to transfer it onto the wood. And then I thought it was best to kind of figure it out where my drawers are going to be. I think I got this upside down. Okay, there we go. That way. Kind of designed where the drawers and the shape of the drawers and that. So now I'm going to just go ahead and cut this out. I'm going to make one slice cut right in here. That'll get into the 2 pieces, and then I'll cut it into 4 pieces. And that'll kind of outline each leaf as well. Okay, there's the first cut. In the end, that'll be glued back together. So now I'm going to cut each individual leaf out, and then I'll have 4 pieces and it'll all fit back together. Well, here are the 4 pieces, and now comes the harder part, trying to cut the drawer parts out, but these just you can see they separate there, and being that the leaves are going to overlap a little bit, like in this situation, this leaf will be a little lower than that leaf. This will be up a little higher, and so on all the way around. So this is a experiment, and just if you follow along with me, we'll see what it looks like. At least I hope you will. I guess this may be step 2, cutting out the shape of all your drawers there. And since I marked this out where the drawers are going to be, it's fairly plain. But if you haven't done that, then it's extremely important to get it all together and then mark a T on it, top. So if you pick up this here and you want to make the drawer on it, you know which side is the top. And that's common to all bandsaw boxes. If you don't mark your tops, you could easily get a drawer cut upside down. So I'm not taking any chances on, you don't want to take chances on not getting it oriented the right way. But since I've already draw the shapes of the drawers out, I pretty much know which way's the top there. And when you make, in this case, when I did it, I just brought my bandsaw around and plan your curves so the radius of the bandsaw will fit to them. It's easy to get a too sharp of curve, but this one had nice curves and it cut out very well. So next step 3, I believe, is to cut the back and the front off of each one of these before I cut those. And actually that is a good idea to mark top on all 4 of them, because once the top's cut off, then the base is going to be different. So extremely important. I think I better just go ahead and do that and mark top on all of them. Saves mistakes after. So now they're all got the top on there. Well, now I got more and more pieces here, so it's important to keep them all organized. But I don't think it's necessary to number them because all these shapes are different, so you can't really get them mixed up. And being that I've, let's just take this one here. I can find the end for it there. And that fits on the end there. So you can see the shape of the drawer. Now I've marked it top, so you know this is going to be up like this. And I've marked the shape of the drawer here, so it's a matter of taking this now and sketching the shape of your drawer back onto the piece of wood. And then I have to do that on all of them, and then that piece is cut out and discarded. So you can make extra cuts on it to make corners and all sorts of things there. So anyway, I'll just continue marking these all up, and then I'll be ready to cut that out. And I guess that'll be step 4. And then we'll go on to step 5. Okay, here's all the parts cut up. I guess this is step 5 now, start gluing things back together. The top, the front and the backs will be glued on, and then that will make the complete drawer. So, and you can use clamps on it if you want, but I usually just put the glue on there, place it on there, and hold it with my fingers a little bit so the glue starts to set. Make sure the glue is starting to set and stuck on there a bit before, if you clamp it, otherwise they'll squeeze off with the glue. Another thing, these have to be glued together. That little spot there where the went through with the bandsaw, that's typical of most bandsaw boxes, but this one's a little different. And the inside here is just, of course, that was junk. And if a person it's able, before you turn on to put your ends on, you can sand in the inside here. That won't affect anything. But I wouldn't sand the outside too much till we're ready to put it in. And then, because if you sand too much off, then your gaps are off. But I'm going to put the ends on and then start cleaning them up. So first I'll sand in the inside here. Anyway, I'll just continue on here. Well, I've switched things around here a little bit today to make it a little easier to see things. Anyway, I have got everything glued together here and ready to start the finishing process. It really went fast. It's really a fun project to do bandsaw boxes. And so here's my pieces. I've glued them together as that little crack there, just a clamp on there, and some CA glue. It goes right into the crack there. That's an ideal project. And of course these parts here that were just handheld. Just hold those on, and that'll be more than adequate. It took quite a bit of effort to. All my pieces are different, but took a little bit of effort to get them all to fit together. So now is just the sanding and the finishing process here. In the background there you can see my sander. It's one of my super sanders that I have videos on that's homemade and works fantastic. I'll just demonstrate that a little bit so you can see how that goes, and all you have to do is go back into my videos and you'll see how I made that one. I think the last bandsaw box that I made, I demonstrated the one that attaches to the wood lathe. The belt unit is exactly the same on either ones, and if I take that top unit off, it fits right on on the wood lathe there, so it's a multi-purpose thing. But that certainly makes a lot of things quick and fast in the shop. And with this box made like this, with the separate parts, I can pick this up and sand these separately. Where if you made this all in one unit, it's hard to get around into these areas. You'd have to do all that by hand. So anyway, I'll continue on here. And the way, okay, just a quick demonstration on my super sander. I've completed basically one of them here for a trial. And I've marked it here where this joins on to the other one. So I don't want to do a whole lot of sanding in that area. I just kind of lightly went over because it matches the saw cut on the other side there. And I've done the same on this one also there with the little mark there. So anyway, we'll just keep the pieces, work on the pieces one at a time, keep them together. So and we got a nice surface there, just quick as that. Now these here, you don't really want to do a whole lot of sanding around the edges here, but I've got a fine belt on there, so it won't take off a whole lot. We don't want to make the gaps bigger. That basically smooths the where the glue joint is there, if you didn't have it quite perfect. Now I still got burn marks on here from the bandsaw, and I think I'll take some of those off, but I'll show you another method to do that that works very quickly too. So that's just a quick demo. I find this sander the most useful one that I have. I have a commercial one, but they run at such high speed it burns the wood, where this will work so much better. It's super easy to build and it works fantastic. So go back in my videos and you'll find a complete demonstration on this sander. Okay, what I showed you was sanding of it there. I just lightly sanded it around. And another thing that was important there, which I realized, is that because your bandsaw may not cut exactly 90 degrees, that these drawers maybe don't slide all the way through. They all fit well from the back, but then when I went to pull some of them out, there was just a little bit that I had to take off. So that's important to do up to this stage. But then I remembered, oh, I need a back. So I've taken a thin piece of wood, and I've put each one on, traced it out, and now I'm just going to go ahead, rough cut those out, leave a little extra, because I can clean the extra up on the sander there, and then I'm more ready for final finishing there and getting each one shaped just right. So I'll go ahead and cut these out and glue them on, and then I'll sand them up and we'll show you what it looks like a little later. Well, I've got 3 of them backs on and sanded down, ready for finish sanding and that. But anyway, I just thought I'd mention something here. When you cut your back out, I just leave it a little bit extra there, and then I just took it over the bandsaw and just brought it a little closer, and then it just took a few swipes on the super sander in the background there, and it's good to go. Yeah, it's fast. This curved part here on that sander tooth has the drum comes around there, it's curved, so you can do that curved as well. So that's a real super sander. Okay, well, I'm kind of to the finishing sanding stage here, getting everything done up right. It helps to have numbers of pieces of equipment that you can use. I'll just show you some of the things I've got. I've got this one here with a little belt that'll get into small areas, and I got a course on there right now so I can remove some material quickly there. I'll show you why in a second here. And then of course these little sanders here, man, they just work just super great. You can, if you use it on the edge here, you can get right next to things and you don't leave a lot of marks. I might mention here this sandpaper that I've got on here. This is sandpaper from sanding belts, so they're cloth back. You can buy boxes of this stuff, coarse to fine. A friend of mine and I bought a 30-pound box. I think it's $60, and it's got a huge amount, enough to last us a lifetime, just in a half a box. And if I'm doing things where I've got sharp edges and stuff, you can use this forever, and it doesn't rip and tear and all the crazy things that just the paper one's done at just a fraction of the cost. So that's a good tip right there. Where I got ours is from Stockroom Supply. It's a Klingspor sanding belt material. They package a big box of it. Some pieces are 5 feet long, 6 feet long, every shape and size and grit that you could imagine there. So I got that, and I use this one too with a little belt on there. That's a Velcro thing there, used for on the lathe there for bowls and all kinds of things on there. But it's handy when you want to take just a little bit off, and that's what I was going to take some of these marks off on these. You just go along and that'll take those off quite well there. So I got that, and then I've got this little sanding file that I made up just with a piece of paper and glued 2 different grits on there. And that's worked real handy to get down into this groove where it looks like a heart-shaped thing there. And then another thing that I use, of course, is one of those shoe. They used to come in. People took the soles off of some of those spongy shoes, but it's a material that is used very commonly to clean sanding belts and all sorts of things. That's a handy thing to have. And yeah, I wanted to mention something here. Since this is a 4-leaf clover, I designed this so it looks like there's overlapping leaves. So this one here is curved that way, curved, and so as if the other one went over top of this part of the leaf here. So what I'm doing here is, if you can see that there, get a little closer here, there's this part here is, I removed material there, so this part here is higher, and that comes down. Same on this one and this one and this one, so it'll look a little bit more realistic like that. But anyway, another thing, I guess the other tip is, of course, you always stay safe around dust and stuff like that. So I need to get busy. You can hear something running there, and that's an air cleaner unit that I got not too long ago and put it up on towards the ceiling there. So I have it going steady, refreshing the air. And then I like these masks here. These work pretty good. There we go. A real monkey now. And then I put some ears on here. Look like there. So anyway, we'll keep on working here, and we'll have something to show you again here fairly soon. I've got everything sanded and fitted, and it looks quite good. But I got one other thing up my sleeve here that I use on a lot of projects, and especially on wood turning and things like that. And you sand it reasonably fine. Even 180 would be good enough. I went a little farther than that, and so this takes one of these. Okay, here's one here that's just sand it here. It's kind of white from all the dust and dirt. I'm kind of white and dusty from all the dirt. Okay, and here's one here. Only took a few minutes. So this is one part of this project that I'm gonna show you here to actually do something, so you can watch me do something. So this is a buffer, and you use a compound called Tripoli, and there's another one called White Diamond that you can, that's a little even finer. It'll get a smaller pouch. I just want to check to make sure I've got it smooth and I've got everything. So yeah, this is the Tripoli 4 wood, and you just put a little of that on there and go for it. Okay, now you can see the difference right away there. You can see the shine on that, and that is slick, as smooth as could be, and that didn't take very long. That would take hours of sanding to get it there. I see a lot of people sanding up to 500, 600, 800, 1,000 grit, where if they just buff it, you can have it that. Well, that was fortunate, and when I was showing you this, I was looking at the screen, of course, and it went totally battery quit, so this way I didn't miss it. That doesn't happen too far. Sometimes you're videoing and 20 minutes later you discover your battery's been dead for a while. Anyway, where was I at? Okay, I guess I was showing you this one here, how fast that went in there. So I even turned my air handler off, the air cleaner off there, so you can hear better. So I'll just finish this up, just watch and see how fast it goes. Okay, and that's smooth as slick all over the place, and that only takes a little while. I left areas here where I'm going to be gluing, there and here, so because this has some sort of a wax in it, so and if it gets that smooth, it doesn't hold the glue that well. So the next stage is to glue that together. I think I'm going to use 5-minute epoxy. It won't take too long, and keep pressure on it there, and it'll fill any gaps or anything like that you know, you don't have a perfectly flat mated surface there. It looks pretty good, but I think epoxy would be a better choice than white glue. Well, here it is, pretty much completed. I just got to glue the base to the unit, and then of course put the finish on there. I've got everything pretty well shaped, well, and sanded well, and buffed, so it's nice and smooth, and it looks quite attractive. I tapered the sides of the drawers down to match this cutout here that I did. I explained that before, that this is done in such a way that I was thinking it would look like it would, one leaf was over the other, so they weren't as they are in natural state. Now this base, well, before I take this off, I'll just show you a close-up of that. Okay, there it goes. So you can see in there, the base, as it attaches to the bottom there, instead of putting it straight, I've curved it and slanted it to one side there. So, because take a clover in the field, doesn't usually stand up straight, but they're usually slanted there. So I'll just show you that right now. That's just sitting on there, and this is the base piece here that is curved, and then I curved it into the bottom of the thing there. This here just comes out at this point here, like I said, and then that's cut at a slant as well. And this was just done on a piece of paper, holding it up, getting it to the right angle you wanted, and then just making marks on the paper. You don't have to measure and do all sorts of things. You just build as you go along, make things to fit. That's my theory anyway, because I just experimenting and making new things and seeing how they work. But so that's what that looks like. So now I'm just going to put epoxy on here and set it down on there, and it'll be stuck. But maybe I'll epoxy this part in first, so it's in the right position, and then do that. And then all that's left now is, of course, finishing and flocking the insides of the drawers. Yeah, I polished these up as well. They're nice and smooth. You don't have to take all the marks off, but I just kind of sanded them lightly there. So they were, it would polish up nice and smooth there. So then you just have to figure out which way that it goes in. Okay, that must go in this way. Okay, there we go. Easy to get this thing upside down and crossways. I've been fiddling around and then trying to fit something in. Oh, it's upside down, or it's crossways, or whatever. Anyway, okay, so I'll do the gluing here, and then there's just finishing. I usually use wipe-on poly. Works well. I've got a little bit of work around these cracks right where the saw cuts were, but I can fix those up a bit there. So that's the project. This could be adapted to all sorts of different leaf shapes, and you come up with something quite nice. A little different than the last one I did, where it was separated with a piece in here, but the similarity, of course, is of having it stand up on the base there. So just another variation, and that you could go ahead and work on and do your own design. Anyway, stick with me to the end here, and you'll get a shot of the finished project next week. Well, here's what they look like in the finishing stages here. I've got the finish put on the outside, and just getting ready for a few huffs and puffs. So just watch how easy this is to finish this off. Don't forget to remember to apply a nice thick coating of the paint and the color that you're going to be use, and then just huff puff and you're done. Huff puff, huff puff, huff puff, huff puff, huff puff, puff puff, puff puff, puff puff, and don't worry about getting too much, because you just shake it out and you're all done. Isn't that easy? Okay, let's take a look at the colors that I did today on these boxes here. This one here is what they call royal blue. Okay, and gotta make sure I put it in the right way. Okay, and this one is navy. It's a lot darker. Okay. And this one is a red, cardinal red. And this one is off-white. So those are the colors. The only thing you have to remember is to, before you switch from one color to the next, is wash your brush out really good, and also take some air pressure and blow the little puff machine out so you don't get mixing of colors. But sometimes that might be desirable. It might be interesting to tie a little bit of white in with the red, give a little different texture there. Anyway, a little bit more work here to do. Of course, I got to put pulls on and that, but it's a fun, easy project. You'll have to give it a try. These are based on the Clover leaf design, but there's lots of different leaf designs that you could adapt this method to, where each box and frame is separate and they all fit together. It makes it a lot easier to sand and finish and do different things like that. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.